The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Queen Velsara of the Zynthian Empire rose from her crystalline throne. Her four eyes blazed with an intensity that made even the most battle-hardened delegates shift uncomfortably in their seats. The chamber, a massive dome of transparent alloy floating in the void between stars, suddenly felt suffocating. "Human," she hissed, her voice carrying the weight of 1,000 conquered worlds. "Did you know my daughter is expecting?" All eyes turned to Caleb Morrison, the sole human representative in a sea of alien dignitaries. He stood there in his simple gray uniform, looking impossibly fragile compared to the towering forms surrounding him. His brown hair was slightly disheveled from the recycled air, and his green eyes met the Queen's gaze without flinching. "I am aware, Your Majesty," Caleb replied calmly. The Queen's mandibles clicked in agitation. "And you dare stand before this council? You dare breathe the same air as your betters?" She leaned forward, her massive form casting a shadow over the human. "My daughter, Princess Lithia, the jewel of the Zynthian bloodline, carries a hybrid child. Your child." A collective gasp rippled through the assembly. The Krillian ambassador's tentacles writhed in disgust. The hive mind representative emitted a frequency of disapproval that rattled the chamber walls. Caleb remained still, his expression unreadable. "This is an abomination," roared Commander Thexical of the Vorgan War Fleet. "Humans are barely classified as sentient. They have no natural armor, no venom, no quantum processing centers in their primitive brains. They die from their own planets. Weather," added the Aquarian delegate with a gurgling laugh. "They require constant sustenance and sleep. Weak, pathetic." Queen Velsara raised a clawed hand for silence. "The penalty for contaminating royal blood is death, human. But I am merciful. I will allow you to speak before your execution. Tell us why you seduced my daughter. Was it some primitive instinct, some desperate attempt to elevate your worthless species?" For the first time, Caleb smiled. It was a small, sad smile that somehow carried more weight than all the Queen's fury. "Your Majesty," he began, his voice steady, "I didn't seduce Princess Lithia. She came to me." The Queen's roar shook the chamber. "Lies, no, Your Majesty. Truth." Caleb took a step forward. "She came to Earth 3 cycles ago. During the Titan Station negotiations, she was curious about humans, about why we kept fighting, even when every tactical analysis predicted our extinction." He paused, remembering. "We met in the observation deck during a meteor shower. She asked me why humans name their children after dead stars, why we write poetry about dying suns, why we build monuments to failures and fallen heroes." The chamber had gone deathly quiet. "I told her," Caleb continued, "that humans understand something most species forget after they conquer their first world. We understand that we're temporary, fragile, mortal, and instead of making us weak, it makes us burn brighter." "Philosophical nonsense," spat the Krillian ambassador. Caleb turned to face him. "Is it? Tell me, ambassador, when was the last time your species produced art? Created something beautiful with no tactical value? When did you last love something more than your own survival?" Before anyone could answer, the chamber doors burst open. Princess Lithia entered, her scaled form moving with urgent grace despite her visible pregnancy. Her personal guard flanked her, but she waved them back. "Mother," she said, her voice ringing clear. "Stop this." "Lithia." The Queen stood, torn between maternal concern and royal fury. "You should not be here. The stress could harm the child. The child is perfectly healthy," Lithia said, moving to stand beside Caleb. "And he is not an abomination. He is hope." She placed one clawed hand protectively over her swollen abdomen. "Do you know what human DNA does, Mother? What their doctors discovered when they analyzed our compatibility?" The Queen's eyes narrowed. "Human genetics adapt. They hybridize. They fill gaps." Lithia's voice grew stronger. "Our child will have my strength and natural armor, but also human regeneration. My sensory capabilities and human problem-solving creativity. My lifespan and human emotional depth." She looked around the chamber, making eye contact with each delegate. "For 10,000 years, the Galactic Council has stagnated. We've conquered and categorized and optimized ourselves into extinction. Our birth rates fall. Our innovations dry up. We've forgotten how to evolve. And humans? Commander Thexical sneered. What have they accomplished? They've barely left their own solar system. Caleb spoke softly. We've survived 6 extinction events. We've turned a death world into a garden. We've made art that makes us weep and music that makes us dance and stories that give us hope. Even in the darkest times, his eyes met the commander's. And we've never, not once, stopped reaching for the stars even though we knew we might never reach them. Lithia took Caleb's hand in her claw. I love him, Mother. Not because he's strong or because he's tactically valuable. I love him because he taught me what it means to be alive. Instead of just existing, the Queen stared at her daughter, emotions warring across her alien features. The chamber held its breath. Finally, she spoke. The child. What? What will you name him? Lithia smiled. Atlas, after a human myth about one who carried the weight of the world. Something shifted in the Queen's expression. She looked at Caleb, really looked at him, and for the first time saw not a primitive creature, but something else entirely. Something that had earned her daughter's heart. Atlas, she repeated slowly. Then, to everyone's shock, she began to laugh. It started as a rumble and grew into a full-throated roar of joy. A human who carries the weight of bridging to species. A child who will unite what we thought could never be joined. She raised her arms, her voice booming across the chamber. I declare Caleb Morrison not just the father of my grandson, but a prince of the Zynthian Empire. The chamber erupted, some in protest, others in confusion. But Lithia smiled and whispered to Caleb, welcome to the family. And somewhere in the void between stars, humanity had just taken its first step toward not just surviving among the stars, but thriving among them one hybrid heartbeat at a time.